This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Ladies and gentlemen of the podcast, today, Josh Butcher. Thanks for coming on, my man.
No, thanks for the invite.
Oh, for sure. Dude, we had to make this happen.
I know. I mean, all the jibber jabber back and forth. You're like, let's just get it out in the air and, put it on a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one funny thing, I need to roast myself on here just because I find it funny. Josh, his wife, had a birthday.
Together. We had a birthday together.
Yeah, had a birthday together. I was at the pre-celebration party where we were going to sing happy birthday to her and almost ruined the surprise.
Yes. Definitely did ruin this. We wasted the good surprise on you, Mark.
I know. Yeah. It was wild. I think we threw her off enough, though, that she was still surprised, right?
She was so thrown off that she was surprised. She had no idea. She was actually like, who is this man telling me happy birthday?
I know. It was so funny after that, because wasn't I talking to Bracken when you guys came walking in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned to him after, and I was like, what are you doing putting me as the freaking welcoming crew, dude? I need to be in the back. He's like, go wherever you want.
I know. Bracken turned to me and he's like, sorry, man. I don't know what he was thinking.
Gosh, dude, it's like one of those moments where you're not supposed to say it and you just freaking do it. It was so random.
Oh, so you knew in your head you were not supposed to? You thought about that, or it just
after
blurted
I
out?
said it, I thought about it. No. When I said it, I was just like, "Hey, happy birthday!"
Yeah.
Like I've never met you before. I know it's your birthday. Like just being my stupid happy self.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so
because it seemed genuine. It didn't seem like you stalled out and like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that until.
Oh no, it was genuine. Yeah.
Until it's like I looked over and I was like,
what is he
great.
doing? So, but and so for the people that don't know what we're talking about, it was actually at our We Are the They annual Christmas party.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
It was fun.
So wasn't that fun? Wasn't Bracken's place dope?
It is the ultimate man cave.
We got to go there again.
Yeah. I mean, after everyone left, and I was helping them clean up, they started all those. I love cars and all those. He had restored that old Malibu that apparently was his dad's when he was in high school and stuff. But they've all got huge motors, and they started them all up. It was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the ultimate.
So how late were you guys there?
Not much longer than everyone else. So you guys walked out. You were one of the last, and then we helped clean up for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then left within a half an hour.
Nice. Did you go to the bathroom when you were there?
Yeah.
Did you see that little kid?
Yes, dude.
It got me good.
It got me too. I was actually going to tell Hal that. I was like, I walked in there, I was done, and I didn't see it until I went to go wash my hands, and I was like, whoa. I legitimately thought it was real for a moment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah, it got me big time.
I took a pee, and then I actually made a phone call before I washed my hands, super gross, to Nick. Well, I didn't make the phone call. He called me. He FaceTimed me. And I was like,
and of
where
course you
are
answered
you?
in the bathroom.
Which I mean, that's me, man. I'm loyal. Yeah. I don't care what I'm doing. I'm answering a FaceTime call no matter what. And as I'm talking to him, dude, I was like, He's like, what? And I was like, dude, there's a... And I'm like looking under the sink, and it's like, for those who can't see this, it's like the back of a little freaking big Chucky doll cowboy kid. And it just looks like there's this little kid underneath the sink looking at the wall. And it got me. Yeah.
It looked real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got me too, big time. Probably not as good as you because you were preoccupied on a FaceTime phone call. Yeah. But yeah, it was real.
Funny.
Now that place is a trip. I mean, it's like business. That is the definition of a mullet. It's like business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And
that section that we were in most of the time was actually an addition. So it was two buildings, and he, combined
merged them
both
together.
Of them. Yeah.
So where was the split then? Because I could tell it potentially split right where the gaming room went from where is that where it split?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So those are garage doors, right?
Yep.
And then where we walked through that man door to come into the room was the back of the other building.
Oh,
and
okay.
So they just combined them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just two more walls and a roof, I guess. Yeah. But he's got I didn't know how much Country Jam stuff he's got in there.
Yeah, I mean, well, they do the Country Fan Fest. I mean, and so Hal's seems like he's super good friends with a bunch of the OG country guys,
is it?
Randy Houser, Travis Tritz of the world. He's actually really good personal friends with those guys.
I'll tell you something cool I'm doing. I'll announce it on the podcast. one of my really good friends, he's a hunter actually, and he goes on guides, or he's a guide, right? And
in Utah,
I think he goes all over. Do you know who Brent Tracy is? You ever heard that name?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how many guides there are. I know you're a big hunter. We'll talk about that in a sec. But he became friends. He went to Nashville to do a hunt, or some people from Nashville went to do a hunt with him, and they're like 6 or 7 singer-songwriters, but they're not the they write hits for everybody else. They don't.
So they're not the well-known names.
Yeah, they like to sing and they like to write.
Yeah.
And so, but Brent's like, he goes, dude, I hunted with these guys for like 6 nights, and every night we just sit around a campfire and they all grab their guitars and they all sing.
That's awesome.
And they just write music. So he thinks he owes me a favor for stuff. I've known Brent since he was like 14 years old, right? And he's like, hey, what if I got these guys to come on your podcast? So I was like, oh yeah, that would be freaking amazing. Like, are you kidding me? Of course, I'd geek out. And so he's called them up. And so I'm going to fly out to Nashville. I'm going to hang out with all of them. I'm going to interview all of them. We're all going to hang out and they're going to help me write a song.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like so jazzed. I can't see straight.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
There's just nothing better than hanging out and chilling when it's like real, right? Like it's not paid. It's not anything. You're hanging out and it's real time with real people doing exactly what they love.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So tell me about your hunting career. When did it start? How often do you do it?
Nonstop to answer that question. I mean, it's literally like in some facet. I mean, I'm doing it all the time. My dad was a big hunter, so just never. I mean, from the age of I can't even remember. I mean, I would always go with him from pretty much the time I could walk, but never started. You start when you're about 12. Actually, the hunting part of it, but just loved it. I don't know, just the whole piece of it, every piece of it.
Yeah.
So I just.
And do you make money with it? Do you guide?
Yeah. So I own an outfitting business.
Okay.
Black Timber Outfitters, and it's not to make money for me necessarily. It was just like, it's truly to stay relevant in the industry. And so you kind of just, and honestly, like when you get in the business world, you find out a lot of these guys hunt. So it's just a really good, just like what you're going to go do, right? He goes and spends time with them because they love to hunt, but that their actual profession is just sing and song, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, like, you had called me earlier, like we hunt with a couple of the guys from Dude Perfect. Yeah. They come and, hunt with us quite a bit. So it's just that connection to a lot of people that you wouldn't even know that they're big hunters.
Yeah.
And it's their out of their, profession.
Yeah. They want to get out and, so you pretty much put the organization together just to kind of like have the organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To be, I mean, I think initially we put it together because we wanted to be able to hunt big animals all the time. Right. And we, as an individual, you don't have the opportunity to do all that because everything's getting so expensive. So it was like literally, it was our way of doing it every year because we would just take everyone else. Because in Utah, like there's all these limited entry units that, takes you 25 years to draw unless you get really lucky or spend a ton of money on a tag. And that was the way to like actually be in there and hunt every year for those, the biggest animals some of the biggest animals in the state.
Yeah. And you go all over, right?
Yeah. I go all over the world. I mean, it literally is my, it's my passion, but it's my travel piece too. Like this year, I was earlier this year, I went to Azerbaijan to hunt Dagestan tur, but I've been all over, New Zealand, Spain.
Well, tell me about Azerbaijan. You're probably the first person I've ever met that's ever even been there.
Really?
Or said the name out loud.
It's a trip over there. I mean, it's a beautiful city. Like the big city, Baku it's just a big city.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's super, super clean, like way nicer than a lot of our big cities here in the United States. Super clean, but like literally you come out of this city and it's like, it's quite a bit of driving. It goes through like a desert landscape and then all of a sudden just straight up vertical mountains as you get closer to Russia.
So what was your flight path into there?
Flight path was from here to Istanbul, Turkey.
Direct?
Yep.
Wow.
And then from Istanbul to Baku.
How long is that flight?
It was long. Like with the layovers and everything, it was like a 30-hour trip with all the layovers.
From Turkey to, is it Bajan, is that you said?
Yeah, to Baku. That wasn't too bad. That was like, I think 3.5 hours, 4 hours.
Okay.
So it's not that far. That one's not that far.
Yeah.
It's the trek across that's a lot.
I find the Middle East like super interesting, like trying to like put it in like the proper ratio.
Yeah.
You know, because like Kuwait's tiny.
Yeah.
You know, even, you know, Dubai is tiny.
Well, and
some of these
Azerbaijan's
places are pretty
tiny.
big.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah,
tiny
it's
too?
it's pretty small relative to like, I mean, some of the bigger countries in there,
like Mongolia.
And Russia and all that it borders up against.
Yeah. So what'd you have to do to get in the country? Did you visas and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, visas.
Did they do hunting tags there?
Yeah, so they've been shut down for the last couple of years because of, you know, all the pandemic stuff. But so they had just opened it up this year again. But and they don't have a ton of game. They have tur, and I think they have a couple other small species that most people don't even hunt. So that's kind of what they're known for, is that Dagestan tur stuff over there.
What
and
is
that? It's a like a sheep goat mix.
Oh, okay.
So, and they live in like, it's rated one of the physically toughest hunts in the world.
Right.
Like just because where they live.
Yeah, it's because you got to go up in the hills to find them.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, like just up in the jagged rocks, cliff, glacier chutes.
So would you go back there again?
Yeah, I would totally go back there. I mean, I love that challenge part of the hunt, right? Like it's not, to me, it's, you know, hunting so much gets turned into killing, and it's not killing. It's like the whole piece of it. Yeah. Like the hunt piece is the part that I love. You know, right. What makes it tough, whatever that is, whether using a primitive weapon, where they're at, you know, I mean, they're like sheep, so they can see. Their magnification on their eyes is insane. You know, there's no vegetation up there, so they can see forever.
Right.
So your ability to get close to them is really tough.
So you taking a long shot to hit them then?
No. I mean, you got to get close a lot of times, just because like the glacier chutes and stuff, you got to be up on the same one that, you know, point that they're on. So yeah, I mean, everything was like up close and personal. So
was that a cold hunt?
It windy, because like right. You're up on these tops that just don't get any, you know, don't have any trees or anything. But it wasn't cold, so we were there in June, and there was definitely some snow, but that was turning more of their like starting in their spring, summer. It actually got kind of hot during the day a little bit,
right? And
the sun was just intense, but just cold from the wind,
right? So excuse me. On that trip, how much does that cost, like for a person to go do that?
You know, that hunt's fairly reasonable, just because like hunting supply and demand, and the older guys that have lots and lots of money, that it's kind of a collector's game for them. They don't usually end up going on a hunt like that because they can't actually hack it. So the demand side of it is a little bit lower. So that one's reasonable, though. I mean, they're somewhere in between, depending on the area, depending on the outfitter, $8,500 to $11,000.
Okay.
To go per person. And then you know, you got to get over there, your flights, your all that stuff. So, which a couple $1,000. So I think you're all in probably 14, 15,000.
Is that a week at a time?
Yeah, you're going to be there probably hunting for 7 days and then traveling for a couple of days. So you're 9 or 10 days total.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Matt and Matt Beret last night were talking about hunting, us three going to Alabama and hunting, right?
Yeah.
Which is my current favorite joke.
Yeah.
Him being from Alabama. So what would, so just say I'm off the street kind of guy, right? And I'm like, hey, Josh, I want you to take me to Alabama and go hunting. Like what's the range on that? Like inside the
like money wise?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, if you know somebody, super cheap, right? Because in Alabama, I mean, you're going to hunt. There's a couple things. You're going to hunt deer, white-tailed deer, or you're going to hunt like ducks. Ducks and geese are like super prevalent down in that area during, you know, because they have a ton of waterfowl, ton of that marshy land. So I mean, it's. I think you could be all in for under 5,000 for sure, and that's if you're going to hunt deer or something like that in a nice lodge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, in a lodge? Nice.
Yeah, it's your style, man. You get a bed. They're going to take you in a 4-wheeler right to a deer stand. It's usually heated.
Oh, shit. That is my style.
Yeah, exactly. So it's perfect for you.
Cool.
Yeah, Matt called me. He's like, "Hey, let's set this up for Mark. Let's do it."
Oh, I'm in. We just got to set that up. I think that'd be. Dude,
yeah, I don't have any.
There would be so much fun.
I'll have to make some calls. I don't know anyone that actually. It's kind of interesting. Like the big whitetail guys hunt usually in the like Indiana, Iowa. Like those seem to be the states that have the bigger whitetail. So those are kind of the hub spots. There's a ton of them down in Alabama. I actually have a client that just hunted with us that has a farm down in there, so I'll ask him see what he thinks.
Yeah, and we can go. We'll go whenever, right?
Their hunting season is a little bit later, so it's actually like going on right now.
Oh, right. Okay.
For deer,
and I always forget about the season
for waterfowl as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long does the season last?
I have no idea down there. I mean, in Utah, you start your archery stuff in August, and some of your late season stuff goes into November.
Yeah.
And and certain states have special seasons, but it's kind of spread out through those months. So that's for like your deer and elk and stuff. Then, your cats, like mountain lions right now that's going to run into, most people hunt those from like November to February just because of the snow. They're a little easier.
Okay.
So there's really a season that's probably something's happening year round.
Yeah.
Just depends what it is.
So if I came to you and said, what's the coolest hunt we can go and do? Without hiking my ass all over the mountains of, Russia or something.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say?
So, carte blanche anywhere in the world?
Carte blanche anywhere in the world.
I would probably say from what I've experienced, like I'm a mule deer fanatic, but that gets tough. So when you're saying like without hiking my ass all over, I would say somewhere that was really fun and new landscape, like into New Zealand.
Yeah.
For some of those stuff, they have like red stag, and a lot of it's not free range over there, but they have huge enclosures. But you get to stay in a really cool, lodge. It's new landscape. It's really cool country. Great food and stuff. Those were really fun hunts to go over there and do. That would be probably your style.
Yeah.
And then I could break off and do like tar, which is like tar, which is a lot of hiking, but fun. Yeah. So that kind of New Zealand seems to encompass
a little bit of everything. Nice.
Yeah.
I've never been to New Zealand. We'll have to make that happen.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah, it's beautiful over there.
Do you ever take your wife when you go?
Yeah, we do. So I took her to Spain. She went to Spain. It's hard though, because like when I'm there, I'm serious. So like I'm there to hunt, and the hard ones, like she could have, Azerbaijan, we're hiking straight up mountains and then riding a horse for 15 miles. Like she would never do something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so like Spain was perfect, because you're staying in a really nice lodge, and then you're like day hunting out of the lodge. So she stayed there, and then one of our friends, another couple that we're friends with, went, so they were able to kind of go into the little villages and do shopping and stuff like that. So she loved that part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the answer is yeah.
That's cool.
Selectively.
Just the one she wants to go on, right?
Yeah, because she's not a hunter. So she's not going to go, even like the local stuff here. When I would go to Colorado or Nevada, she's like, "No, I'm not going."
Does she care that you go that much?
No, I think this is for people that are looking to get married. Like that's a big thing. No matter what you do in life, is to be real with your wife when you're dating her, right?
Yeah.
And I was very real with her, just saying, "Hey, like, I know things change and you adjust as you grow together and have kids, but it was my life then." And I was very honest about that. I'm like gone a lot. She's more than welcome to come when she does want to come.
Yeah.
So she knew what she was getting into, and is it hard for her at moments? For sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm gone a lot, and stints of like a week and a half at a time.
Right.
So.
Right. So when you're gone for like a week and a half, do you try and be home for like a week and a half when you get back, or
for sure?
Is there a ratio with that?
No ratio.
Yeah.
Because that's the other problem, Mark, is like. It happens so like in the United States, your hunting seasons are all pretty similar, right? So from August to November, it's just like go time.
Right.
So, some of your international stuff is definitely different times of the year. So that it's kind of nice to do some of those because you can break it up and be home for long stints of it at a time and then kind of go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for sure during the fall.
Gotcha.
Because there's no ratio. It's a lot of times gone.
Yeah, you're gone.
Yeah. So
now you, with the company, do you have employees in there?
Yeah. So I have 2 full-time employees in there. And then I have a lot of independent guys that have full-time jobs doing something else. And then they come guide for me when the seasons come, when the elk and deer seasons come, and we hire them all. So they're all licensed as independent guides.
So are your employees, are they just like getting hunts set up for the next season? Like,
yeah. So they do everything, like
admin crap, probably.
Some admin stuff, but mostly like all this stuff. Like right now they're doing mountain lions, right? So, I mean, they're mountain lion hunting. In the spring, they're doing bear, but you don't have near as many of those hunts. And so you can get away with kind of having just a couple guys. And then during deer and elk season, it all comes at once. So you have to kind of load up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. And they like it? Do they have a hunting background, or is it more of a job?
Oh no, it's their life. Like if they could say their dream job, they live their dream job.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, 100%. So they live down in like Blanding, Utah. So they grew up in a smaller town.
Yeah.
They're on the mountain, 360 days a year.
Oh, wow.
And they would be on the mountain if they weren't working for me. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's where they would have spent their free time anyway.
Yeah.
Their vacations are camping on the mountain with their family. So it's just, it's their way to get paid and literally like live their dream job.
Yeah. So is the company all remote, or do you have an office, or?
I mean, my office is my house, but it's pretty much all remote. So my partner in it lives in Cortez. He's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just, it doesn't need an office. I mean, it's just literally on the phone and.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine a lot of them are like that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's and why not, right?
Yeah.
'Cause that's, you don't need a showroom or anything.
No, it doesn't. I mean, your showroom's the internet, right? And Instagram anymore.
Right.
That's absolutely your showroom of what you're kind of doing.
So do you do equipment for guys too, like guns and?
No, we don't do any equipment stuff. Like you would need a business, or probably not a showroom necessarily anymore, but like at least a presence. And then that's like have to get distribution, and a lot of this stuff is so custom. So then it's not just about selling something now. It's like now you got to do everything custom for somebody.
Yeah, I can see. Do you ever have clients who just go, "Hey, I need a really badass gun"? Go, tell me what I should get.
For sure, I have people that do all of it. So I have all kinds of people that I refer out to for all that stuff, but we just don't do anything.
Right.
I mean, and I've always been of like, if I create value for somebody else, like they'll send somebody to me. So I mean, taxidermists, we send work to taxidermists, but never asking for anything in return. But like if they have somebody that wants to come hunt, send them our way.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It's actually the way business is done.
Sure. Long-term business. Long-term business for sure.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I mean, sometimes with the audience that listens to this podcast, I wonder kind of where they're at. So I like to get a little detailed in some of the things like, I'd like to be a guide, how could this actually work out?
Yeah.
So, because I feel like a lot of people think, I got to get 2,000 acres and got to slap a lodge in the middle of it. And then I got to provide catering and like all this garbage, and it's like, oh man, that's an expensive business plan.
That's your model.
Yeah.
that's what Mark wants.
Yeah, and put a king size bed in there.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it is the way some of those guys do it for sure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys want that. They do want that. But I mean, there is a lot of guys that want the hunt side of it. So I guess it depends what people are looking for, right? Are they looking for the gentleman's hunt, or are they looking for a full blown like hunt where it's tougher, it's harder, you're sleeping, you're potentially sleeping out of a little tent with a sleeping bag and a pad type thing.
It's funny with me, there's an enticement to do like in the tent and stuff.
Yeah.
My problem is I don't want to pack it. That's really my issue, right? And most of it's because of my back.
Yeah.
Like I just have a bad back. And so I'm currently, my back is thrown out currently.
Yeah, as you hobbled
which I haven't done. Yeah, as I hobbled in today, which I haven't done in like years. It's been a couple of years since I've actually thrown it out. But when I hike, like I can't even carry water in a backpack. Like it's
really,
it just pulls on me and moves my spine around. And then when you're hiking, it's not level ground, so you're moving, and
Yep.
It just takes one little stupid tweak, and then I can't walk for a week.
Yeah.
Sucks.
And that's kind of thing everyone asks me. They're like, well, because Cade in the group, he's a huge horseman.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the alternative, right? Let a horse or something pack your stuff.
Yeah.
But man, to me, horses are such a pain in the ass.
Right.
It's like
Will they scare stuff away too?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Usually not, but like they have minds of their own. They do stuff that like could make your trip over it like in a blink of an eye.
Right.
I mean, I was up in Wyoming on a deer hunt 2 years ago, and we were about 10, 15 miles back in on horseback, and we split up. There was a couple of us, and the one group went that way, and it's nasty, rugged country, and that horse just kind of stalled out and didn't want to go anymore up a steep hill, and one of the guides just yanked on his lead rope. Well, when he yanked on his lead rope, the horse like flipped his head back and flipped over backwards, landed right on the hunter that was riding him, broke the horse's leg when he flipped over because he rolled down. Cracked open the guy's skull. I mean, luckily he didn't kill the guy. Yeah. But they had to put the horse down because it couldn't move. They had to get him down to camp and then rush him to the hospital. I mean, it's just all stuff that like
that can be avoided.
Shit
almost.
Can happen with a horse. I mean, and shit can happen no matter what. But a horse, especially guys that aren't like Cade stature where they're on a horse every day. Yeah. Like accidents happen a lot easier when you're on. So we try to stay away from the horses and.
Yeah, I've ridden a horse. It was last year for the first time in like 20 years. Yeah. It was fun. I was on my friend's farm. Yeah. Like his ranch kind of thing. But yeah, dude, they're a heavy animal.
Well, I mean, I love riding horses, and I love packing in on a horse, but I've rode a horse quite a bit, so it's a little bit different, but so many of these guys, it's just not there. Yeah. I mean, even for you, like, even though you're not packing anything, you being on a horse that long, it'd probably be hard on your back. Yeah. Sitting there in that saddle for
actually the constant pounding.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like
compressing your
spine constantly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we rode for about 45 minutes, I think, and yeah, I was feeling it. Yeah. Yeah, by the time I was done, I was feeling it. I mean, I can't even imagine like 4 hours.
Well, and like your legs aren't meant to like bow like that. So your legs hurt. Everything hurts when you don't ride a horse as often. Yeah. When you ride them, you're used to it. But yeah. No, but yeah, cool. The packing thing would be, it's a necessary for sure. I mean, even on a gentleman's hunt, right? Like you shoot something, got to throw it on your back to get it out, even if it's 300-400 yards, unless you can drive to it, which happens at moments. Right. But I mean, we're always carrying pretty heavy loads on our back.
So do you do four-wheelers and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, depending on the area. Right. Four-wheelers, ATVs. I mean, right now, like you're using snowmobiles and side-by-sides with tracks to get up in some of that snow stuff.
Yeah, when I'm in a tent, I picture myself with a warm breeze. And I ain't thinking Klondike, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So were you a scout growing up?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Eagle Scout?
Nope, never made my Eagle Scout.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say we're brothers in Eagle Scouts.
It's probably one of those things that I wish I would have actually finished and just didn't. Yeah. So I don't even know why. I mean, I was into it. So
I had the greatest Scoutmaster of all time. So
I think that's probably why I truly didn't finish. Like I bounced from a couple different scout groups, and none of them were that much fun. Right. And they weren't like, we were just going through motions. It was almost like schoolwork rather than taking us out and actually doing the activities or getting your badges, doing
mine's
them outside.
Exact opposite.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why, which no excuse, I should have finished it, but like definitely was more of a, not very into it.
See, I had 9 Eagle Palms by the time I was like 16. Like, dude, I got like every merit badge. Yeah. Like, it was insane. Like, but our summers with him were so much fun. Yeah. Like summer camp, dude, like we would build massive teepees, they'd be 15 feet tall, probably. I'm trying not to exaggerate. I was a kid. It seemed massive back then. 3 layers of kids. Like we would build hammocks in them, and then we would build like 7 or 8 of them. And then we would build rope bridges across to all of them.
Oh, really?
I mean, oh, bro. It was so much fun. Yeah. So, back in the, I guess this would have been, it was early 90s because I was born in 81. Yeah. Yeah. So it was early 90s. just up in the Uintas, full week.
Having fun.
Yeah. Well, we'd have sacrament meeting up there. He'd get permission to have, the bishop would come up and give a sacrament meeting up there, and then we would just camp all the time. Yeah. I've only seen him mad one time in his entire life, and it was at me.
And it was you, of course, the one person.
And I deserved it. I unknowingly deserved it.
Yeah.
But we were all hanging out, and I was one of the guys that was obedient. I wasn't a pain in the butt for him. Yeah. There was a couple of those, right? They ended up kind of mixing in with everybody else though, because he was a good dude. One of those guys you get around and you're like, oh, I like this guy. I'm just gonna be nice, because I'll go bust someone else's chops.
Yeah.
But we were sitting there in the morning, and it was 9, 10 in the morning, right? We had made a fire early morning.
Yeah.
And this can of off spray. Right.
Of bug spray.
And
you put it in the fire.
Yeah. Put it in the fire. And I didn't actually realize what it would do. I knew you shouldn't put it in the fire. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't a moron. I didn't really realize why you don't put it in the fire. And so we had just finished it, right? But we were also putting everything in the fire. So I just throw that can in there, right? Just right on top, dude. And it was smoldering. It wasn't even like it was a full on fire. I mean, it was still hot.
Yeah.
And so we sat there for 45 minutes just whittling and blah, blah, blah. And a guy went to put a piece of wood on there to start the fire again. And it blew that piece of wood out of it, but it sounded like a buckshot.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa. And dude, he comes running over, right? And he's like, what was that? And they're like, well, Mark put a can of bug spray in the fire, dude. And he just went off.
Yeah.
But I was so shocked because I was like, oh, and he's like, you could have killed somebody. Just going crazy. The shrapnel and words I'd never heard before.
Yeah, they come out of there like a bullet.
Oh, dude, it was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And lucky. Yeah. Because it literally hit a piece of wood a kid was holding.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably 5 of us sitting around this fire just waiting to get blasted by this thing, unknowingly. And yeah, dude, I spent until the next morning in a tent. They brought me food, it was
so you were in timeout.
I was in timeout for a day, a full 24 hours, man. Probably about 20 hours, but yeah. And then, he came and had a talk with me before we went to bed. And he was kind. He was nice. He's a great guy. I mean, but he was just like, you deserve this punishment. And I was like, okay. But I mean, hell's bells, bro. You know how bored you are sitting in a freaking tent with nothing?
I do. I've been in Alaska.
Yeah,
when it's rained, I know exactly how that is. You're just reading hunting proclamations from front to back, then back to front.
Yeah, making up songs.
Yeah, with one other dude that you're in there for 9 days straight. And you're just like, is it going to stop raining and we're going to get out of here?
Oh, dude, it's a wild world, man.
Yeah.
But scouting, man, it's one of the things I'm so sad about it. Scouting was amazing for 100 years, and it's just. And it's not really the political crap that's going on. It's part of that, but it's just defunded. The LDS Church pulled out of the Boy Scouts of America, so they don't have the funding. The organization's gone to crap,
and it went bankrupt. And it was
it just got destroyed.
And I don't get it because to what you just did, it's not that much money, right? To go take a group of kids and have a chaperone essentially that knows what he's doing. It doesn't cost any money.
Well, especially inside the LDS culture, right? Yeah. Because it's a volunteered position.
Exactly. So where did all this money, what they got into this position where they needed to buy all this land to do these Boy Scout camps, and instead of leasing land, it turned into something that I don't feel like it ever should have been.
Yeah.
And it got ruined. But like you said, I mean, it got ruined for so many other reasons too. It being unfair, and which that's a whole nother podcast, but
that is a whole nother podcast, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
It's like, if it got woke.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It
got woke. Absolutely. And it ruined it.
Yeah.
It ruined it. And truthfully, our youth kids, don't even know, they don't even understand what they're missing, but they're missing the ability to grow. They're missing the ability to figure out what the outdoors is even like. They're, exactly what you did. It was still an experience. Some kids don't even know you put a can of aerosol in a fire, it's going to explode.
Right.
I mean, and be dangerous.
Yeah. I'll tell you something I learned that I've applied many, many times, and it's had great impact, is my CPR training.
Yeah.
I have saved, I can't remember the number is, 6 or 7 people.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is something you wish you never had to use, but good thing you had it.
First time was with my dad.
Really?
15 years old, yeah. My uncle and I gave him mouth-to-mouth and chest compressions because he had, it's a complicated mess what happened to him. He's alive now, but like it was wild, dude. He was freaking purple, and it's a crowd. I'll have to tell you that story at one of our Ludices because I get emotional telling it.
Because it's wild.
Yeah, dude. It's like we brought him back from the dead, it seemed. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know. We were snowmobiling. We were up in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
And he just stopped. And we went over, we ripped his helmet off. He was as purple, you know?
Wow.
And wasn't breathing, wasn't anything. And my uncle and I he started doing CPR, and he was telling me to do chest compressions. My 2 little brothers were watching.
Yeah, you know? Traumatized.
Yeah, he spit up stuff when it happened, and it was crazy, dude.
That is weird.
He has seizures, and he used to pass out.
Gotcha.
And that was the first time it had ever happened.
Wow.
So he's 30 years older than me, so he was 45. So
isn't it crazy?
4 years older than I am right now when it happened.
Isn't it nuts? Like, I mean, you just got to live every day because you just never know when stupid stuff's going to happen like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's kind of part of the reason too. I don't love being away from civilization. Probably.
Yeah.
You know, not a major reason, but like when I was I went on an LDS mission, and my dad and my little brother actually got caught. And my little brother would have been 3 years younger than me. He would have been about 16 or 17. Probably 17, about 17. They got caught in a storm.
Well, they were out like camping or something?
No, snowmobiling.
Oh, okay.
I think I have to get the details again, but like, oh, dude, my uncle went up there, who's my dad's best friend, you know, and like all their snowmobiling buddies went to go find them, and like they finally found him at like 2 a.m. I mean, it was a wide out, crazy storm. You know exactly what that's like. Yep. And, I mean, you know, Kevin and my dad were just like, you know, my dad's like, Kevin, we can't stop. We have to keep moving. Like, we cannot stop. We'll get frostbite. We'll just freeze. Like, there's no shelter. Like, we got to keep the blood pumping. Yep, and they're like crawling across the snow drifts. Yeah. Because they couldn't walk through them.
Yeah, it's nuts up. I mean, it gets bad quick.
Yeah.
Up there. I mean, you have to know what you're doing for sure.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're in trouble.
So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the backcountry, man, it ain't the city.
No. I mean,
I have crazy amount of survival skills, really.
Yeah, but
it's all from scouts.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, you attribute that to like actually doing it, right?
Yeah.
And being there. Like, I mean, you see all these stories that 2 hikers go up in the woods and die and they can't find them. And it's because they had they really had, I mean, everyone has business going up and hiking, but they had no business going back there and trying to stay back there. Yeah. With, you know, not being prepared, going up there without any water or going up there without whatever it is, right? Yeah. I mean, they have no ability to survive if anything didn't happen, if something didn't happen perfectly.
Yeah, I used to remember those little like circle canisters that had like the matches in them and the steel and flint and like, they were wrapped in wax and they're all waterproof. And I can't remember what else was in that. I had one of those in my truck, dude, until I went on my mission. Little
parachute cord and all kinds of stuff so you could get in there.
Probably a little knife in there, a little razor or something like that.
A compass on the top usually of it.
Potentially, yeah. Which, by the way, would be sent from heaven if you were lost.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's one thing. That's one of the problems with my dad and Kevin when they were up in the dark.
They couldn't figure out
They don't know which way is where.
Oh, man, I have countless stories about walking out in the dark and you ending up just walking a huge circle. Right. You have no perspective of where you're at. Yeah. I mean, it happens to like the most professional, you know, when you cannot see what you're doing. I mean, with technology today, you know, you can kind of watch your tracks. You can sit there and use some of these apps, and literally like numerous times I've walked out of a canyon and like, I'll put it down for a second. You'll start walking and you think you're heading right to where your ATV or whatever it is. And you look down and you've like literally J-hooked. You've almost made a circle back where you just walked half the time. You're like, what am I doing?
That's wild.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know what it is, but like, depending on the terrain, obviously, you know, if you're going down a canyon, it's a different kind of steers you in the right direction.
You got lucky.
Yeah. But when you're on a flat ground or something like that, it's, you can get
and that's the thing they taught us, right? It's like you locate yourself north, south, east, and west, and then you need to figure out where water is. Yeah. And you go to the water. So if it's a stream, like down a canyon, you start rolling down the canyon because eventually you'll go to something. Yeah. Right. Or if it's a lake, you know, you walk around the lake and figure out where something is around there too. Yeah. But if you're just in freaking hills with trees. Yeah. I mean, I guess you do have the terrain that will pull you down. I mean, so you should technically go down. Yeah. But still.
But you don't know that. I mean, you don't know how far anything is from down, you know, what, depending on where it is for sure. I mean, snowmobiling, same thing, man. It's like in a whiteout. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's dark or not. In a whiteout, you can't figure out which direction you're going half the time.
No, you can't. I mean, literally, you can't see. If anyone's ever been in one, I've been in a few, but I mean, you can't see 5 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. And it's loud as hell.
Yep.
That's another thing too, is like people think it's hard to concentrate. You get the wind whipping. Yep. It's just like super loud. That's another thing, right? So you think, so my dad, you know, they would hear snowmobiles or something like that. You can't even hear them. Yeah. They could be 40 feet away from you, screaming your name. And in a whiteout, you can't hear because it is way loud.
Yeah. And you can't see very far. Like you said, you can see 5 feet. So like trying to get up on a high point and I scan and try to figure out where they are, it's really difficult.
Impossible.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
You ever had any problems camping or hunting, anything like that? Is this stuff
getting lost or like
just like winter's like storm comes in or something like that? Or
I mean, never to where it's been like bad. I mean, I've had that stuff happen all the time, but I mean, we've always been prepared for it.
Never got nervous.
So never been in a nervous position like that when
that's good.
On being lost or anything like that. There's been a couple of moments, like I said, to where I mean, one moment in particular, I was actually younger and I was with my dad and one of, you know, our good friends, but it's more my dad's age. Same thing, and it was kind of his area, so we were with him, and man, we got to the bottom of this canyon, and there's a river that goes, so the canyon comes down, and then there's another canyon that the main canyon shoots the other direction, so they were like offshoot canyons, and we crossed the river, and it's freezing cold, it's pitch black, and we're walking, and about 15 minutes later we come to another river crossing, and my dad looked at him, he goes, what the hell are we doing? Like, we shouldn't be crossing the river again,
right?
He's like, how do we cross the river twice, dude? We just walked in a circle. And so anyway, like, thank goodness my dad was there, because I think I was probably only 18 at the time, and I wasn't paying attention to like where we were going or anything. I was just kind of like on a marching path with him, and my dad took charge, and they're like, no way, this is the way we have to go. We should not be crossing the river again and all this stuff. And thank goodness we did, because I mean, that was kind of before GPS technology and all this stuff, and it's probably around at that moment, but we didn't even have it or use it. Right. So yeah, it would have been a dark, cold night that night if we wouldn't, if my dad wouldn't have jumped up and been like, yeah, we're not going the right way.
Yeah. I remember when I was a scout, I ended up getting my ham radio license. Yeah. Which we thought was the coolest shit ever, right?
You get on there, there's cops. So you're in the cop stage, the cop channel.
Well, you had your little call sign, right? I can't freaking remember it. I mean, hell, we're talking like 25 years ago. But, you know, it was like, you know, this is, you know, I don't even know, Oscar 777 Oscar, you know, like, oh, shiz, you know, or Oscar 7, you know.
We still use radios pretty, you know, consistently, but not like
not ham ones, though,
not
right?
the ham stuff,
Yeah, dude, the freaking ham radio too was like this. It was massive. Yeah. It was a huge old antenna, you know.
It just keeps telescoping out. Yeah, it's like 10 feet long.
We had one guy in our neighborhood that had like a full-on antenna off the back of his house, so he could like bounce it off of the atmosphere. Am I thinking of this right,
dude?
And he could talk to people like in England.
Yeah, I don't know what. Well, I think they use repeaters. I think they have these giant things and they use repeaters, and so then the repeaters, like, depending on I mean, I do know I've used them. So like I could talk in my house in Murray to my guys down on like the San Juan, which is a 6-hour drive, right? Clear as day, with them. But like it was using repeaters, so I'm not sure if
does it have a delay.
I'm sure it does, but I don't feel like it. I mean, when you're talking back and forth, I mean, I don't feel like you noticed it. Yeah. You know, so I'm sure it does, but it's not bad.
Yeah. World's crazy.
The old ham radios.
Well, we say ham radio, dude, and anyone 30 and under has no idea what the hell we're talking about.
But if you're driving through like rural America at moments and you see like a house with all these antennas, like there's still like crazy nuts that wear armadillo hats still using those things.
Yeah. Government's coming to get them.
Yeah. The world, they got bunkers that are 40 feet down below their house, and they're sitting there talking on their ham radios. Yeah.
Is it safe?
I know. I honestly know where a couple of those guys live.
Do you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. They're big into it.
Yeah. I've met a lot of preppers in my life.
Yeah.
I had like a little tiny small business. It didn't go anywhere. We were selling beans during, when the hell were we doing that? It might have been like 2010. Anyway, it was during a crisis. It must have been 2010, right? And people were like going crazy on food storage.
Yeah.
And we had this relationship with this bean company, and we kept on buying like just pinto beans from Idaho.
Yeah.
I want to say we had like 4 pallets of them in the sacks, dude. And like, just throw them on KSL. People were coming down, buying everything we owned, dude.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That is nuts.
I wish I probably should have scaled it up then, but those are one of those businesses to me that kind of like peak, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on freaking $1 million of inventory, and then you can't move it for like 5 years.
Yep, for sure. Because it's like based on fear, right? So like when politics and gets involved and the media says that the world's going to end, like the fear base of people just runs and gets food storage. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a prepper of like having some stuff, but like when it goes like to the masses like that and they're loading up, it's all like fear-based stuff.
Yeah, I was just talking yesterday. So when COVID hit, I'll be honest, when COVID first hit, I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Then they started shutting stuff down, and then they were talking about it, and I was just like, the more it went on, the more I was just like, this just feels ridiculously stupid, right? And then when we got the full on, like, hey, we're locking everything down for 2 weeks, right? I was like...
Then you knew it was stupid.
Well, yeah. Well, and the funny thing, my company's never locked down.
Neither did mine.
Because I have government contracts, right? We were getting letters that gave us permission to travel.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like,
isn't that another interesting?
Yeah.
Another podcast, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We need a couple more years of distance. They haven't declared it over yet, even.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? It's like, let's go back and talk about what happened.
Yeah.
But I remember I came home one day. It was when all the lines at Costco were like crazy, and they kept running out of like paper towels and like just
Dude, they were out of water and out of toilet paper.
Oh yeah, toilet paper
for like. It was like months.
Yeah. Oh,
felt like, I mean, they'd get new shipments and like, but the second it was in there, it was like gone.
And people are losing their minds.
Never in my water, I understand the water thing, but never in my wildest dreams did I think we'd be in a toilet paper shortage.
Right. Also, it doesn't even matter. If you run out of toilet paper, whatever, go take a shower when you're done. And, I mean, that's the move, right? It's not. Anyways, we're going for a crazy tangent on that, but go back to food storage. But I remember I came home one day and I had gone to I think we had gone to Costco, and I bought a whole bunch of crap, filled the whole. Yeah. So we have like a coffin freezer in the garage, right?
Yeah. Chest
normally
freezer.
I just buy, I buy 3/4 of a cow or whatever, and I just stuff it full of meat. So I went and bought a bunch of other stuff. And then I went in the house. And I remember thinking, I'm like, dude, Mark, and it was like the first time I had panicked in the whole pandemic, right? And I'm like, this would be really stupid if you don't have any food storage and you've got $4 million of cash sitting in the bank. Like, you're an idiot. And I was like, I am an idiot. And so then I bought like $15,000 worth of food storage. Yeah. And I paid.
Of like dehydrated food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prepackaged.
Yep.
Just like.
Peak Refuel or like something like Thrive.
Gosh, I can't remember what it was.
Or Liberty or any of those guys. Yeah.
Oh, it might have been Liberty.
Yeah.
Came in like the little like black, like square bucket kind of thing.
Yeah, Liberty.
Yeah, I've got it all in my house. So I also have a lot of guns in case you want to come try and get my food.
Don't get my food storage.
That's a house where a gun lives.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, I think so. Last 25 years, right? And I bought 4 years worth for me and my family, right? Sure. So I was like, I also kind of figured it, right? It's like, I'm assuming that I'll probably share some of this, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like I'm just gonna like hoard it and like let.
Well, hey Mark, if we go on a hunt, you can actually use that dehydrated food to eat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, when we backpack, that's what we eat.
Well, I should pretend as I'm gone bankrupt with my kids and make them eat it for like 2 years.
You're like, eat this really salty, shitty food.
Yeah. Dad's off to Walmart today for his job. Then I'll go back and be like, I was just kidding. I just want to make sure you guys knew what it's like.
It's actually pretty good. I don't know. I don't know if it's just that I'm so hungry when I go to eat them that they taste delicious, but they're actually pretty good.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like 4 days of daily value of your salt in one serving. But
do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know they
That's
had
how they
salt.
dehydrate them. That's how they keep them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's just water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got I don't know how many gallons I've got in the garage, but
of
you have
water?
A big water tank?
Yeah.
Dude, so I have the tank. I'll be honest. I don't even have it filled yet.
So it's doing a lot of good.
Yeah, it's like I just have this massive tank. I mean, it's like 10 feet tall and 3 feet wide or something like that. I don't know how many gallons that is. 600? Does that sound right?
10 feet tall, 3 feet wide?
Maybe
probably
400? I don't know. Something like that.
Enough.
I should fill it.
Enough for you to drink for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through that much water, we got bigger problems.
Right. Well, and one of the things that was funny too, if you remember, so here in Utah, is right when the pandemic hit, like everyone was talking, it's like, listen, as long as we don't have an earthquake, like all the water will be fine. Our water systems have, power generators, and like everything should be fine. Like, you can go for a long time if you just have water. And then we had an earthquake like a week later.
Yeah.
Remember waking up to that?
Yep. And that was wild, actually, because it was like, I think it was like 6:45 in the morning that it happened.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just getting up, and like I was still in a daze, I felt like. And it was so weird. I was like, what is even going on? And then I snapped into it. I was like, holy shit, we're having an earthquake. And then I was like grabbing kids because they were still asleep, and then getting them under, the frame or under a table or something, because I had, no idea like how big it was going to be. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. I had worked until about 2:00 in the morning that night. And I just remember like going to bed like so exhausted. I was like, oh, okay, good. I got all this stuff done. I'm going to sleep in a little bit tomorrow. Because I normally get up about 6:30 every day, 6:30. I was downstairs in my basement because I was snoring like a mother trucker. My wife was already asleep, right? So I went downstairs and I was just kind of laying there like a starfish. And yeah, whatever time, 6:45, dude, it hits. I just wake up and I'm like just getting like vibrated off the bed. And I'm like, no effing way, dude. And then I just go sprinting upstairs. I'm like, Michelle, just screaming my kids' names. They start tripping balls, right? Because I'm panicked, which I'm never panicked.
Yeah. And, so they knew something was going on.
Yeah. I scared the hell out of everybody. And then, of course I turned the news on because I got to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And that was a wild day. That was
it was wild. And I mean, what's more wild is because they keep calling for this giant earthquake that we're going to have. So I mean, that one wasn't actually that bad, but you're like, oh man, here it is.
Right. Today's the day. Today's the day. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy.
It is funny, man. So tell me, switching gears a little bit. So tell me about your other business though. Because you do Amazon. Yeah,
so my main business is what I do on a day-to-day is Amazon brand management. So I have a company that from literally like just manages brands, everything. So if it encompasses an end to Amazon, it has to deal with us.
Yeah.
For companies that, I mean, we kind of have a little our niche is kind of direct selling companies, helping them navigate those waters, just because it's not what they do. And in fact, like most of them don't want to, initially they don't even want to be there, but then they realize like they have to be for multiple reasons. And it's obviously the best place to be to promote your brand. I mean, Amazon's it's become a giant review portal and a giant, selling source, of course, but a validation tool, I guess is the best word. Like when someone hasn't heard of a product and so you get introduced to it, they go look on Amazon to see if it's real or how many reviews or, if people like it and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, we do some launching of brands. So we've got some smaller companies that we've launched the last couple of years. We kind of have an array of different clientele on what they do, but mainly in the consumable categories. Yeah.
What do you think the best products to put on Amazon are? Is it consumables?
Oh, I mean, best for what, price, margin? It's all over the board.
That's a broad question. So say I am, I want to leave my corporate job and I come to you and I say, hey, I want to sell stuff on Amazon. I just want to work from home.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I'm going. What product lines would you suggest?
The biggest ones are going to be like kitchen, toys, and consumables of some sort, right? Like, and I think because they get used so much. Like consumables are, people eat them and they have to buy more and more and more. So that's always, a category that's big, but it's so competitive. There's so many different brands of the same exact product. So you trying to like quit your job and going in there is very difficult. Yeah. Like navigating those waters. I mean, that's why they hire us, because we know the landscape. I mean, literally, if you're not in Amazon, they're constantly going through beta programs. They're constantly changing everything. If you don't have a team and you're in there daily, like you'll get lost. I mean, you can do it, but you're going to get lost. And you're not going to do it well.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Super inefficient for a while, right?
exactly. But toys are good, because kids always do toys. There's bigger distribution on toys. So you quitting your job, like I think if someone's going to quit their job and go sell on Amazon, I think the number one thing is what we call wholesale. They're going to go try to find a distribution place that they don't have to make their product. The product's already made. It's already got people looking for it. Yeah. And now I just have to buy it right. If I buy it right, I sell it and make a margin.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to get started on Amazon if you were like just going to wholesale, right?
What about real niche products? Do those do well?
Yeah, I mean, depending what they are, right? And then advertising, like depending on how good you are at advertising, because no one's going to see it initially. So like you have to, just like in Google, Amazon's just become a big ad portal.
Yeah.
For themselves. So like you just have to be able to position yourself. Jake in our walk group, Jake, he's done a really good job. He's got a little tennis ball trainer, so like teaches you how to hit a tennis ball, and that's pretty like niche product. And he's done really well at kind of placing that and putting it in there and getting enough people looking at it and buying it, and the reviews are good that now it's actually showing up and it's at the top. So, and now he's looking to expand that line, right? So like you move from starting with one thing and then expanding it to whether it's something else in that line or maybe a pickleball set of something, whatever those are. But yeah, I mean, he's done a really good job at kind of starting that little single, trying to supplement some income outside of his normal job.
So with your and what's the name of the company?
UnCut Brands.
UnCut Brands. What's the process to bring someone on? Like how much does it cost? Like kind of what's your pitch to someone that you're trying to bring into the company?
So I mean, depending on what the company is, right? If it's a small company, then there's going to have to be some sort of a retainer because most of the work's on the front side. So that's just based on like, after we look at the company, what it is, and then a percentage of sales moving forward. Okay. Like a direct selling company, we usually don't do any retainers. It's just a percentage of sales because they already have volume. They've already got sales happening, so we can jump in immediately, and it's worth our time. I mean, we're not going to get paid a lot of money for the first little bit, but it's worth it for us to provide that value for them to, start getting paid in that 60-90 day range. But they've already got sales that are happening because they're brand name.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that want to launch that have a really cool idea, I mean, we're open for it, but we usually take equity in those companies to make it worth it. So a lot of them don't have enough money to pay you initially. Yeah. So, we have a really good idea if we think we can make it move.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll take a little bit of equity in the company and then
so the experience with you guys is pretty custom, based on what they're selling.
Yeah, it totally depends what they're selling and how much they're selling, and if they have any sort of brand recognition or if it's brand new.
Gotcha.
And kind of what their strategy is as a whole, right? Amazon's just a piece, so depending if they're coming to me and starting a new, start wanting to launch this brand, what are they doing on social? Is that outside traffic also is important because that's how you get brand recognition.
Right.
So some of these want to just start on Amazon, and that's a good place to start just because it gets so much, so many eyes on it. Yeah. And then they move to Shopify into some of these other pieces.
Gotcha. How'd you get into it?
Wholesale. I was wholesaling, for a long, long time ago. So like not when Amazon got started per se, but like probably, 8, 9, 10 years ago, started wholesaling. And I could tell, I could see the market shifting, that Amazon wanted to, as they just became a conglomerate giant, they wanted to get away from a lot of this little third-party sellers, right? Which is what built them. But they definitely wanted to kind of be more of a brand company and be supporting bigger brands. So I just, 5 years ago, I saw it shifting. So I knew that I wanted to kind of transition and place myself in to where I was helping everyone else that needed help, rather than just trying to, go sell a product here and there.
Right.
So
how did you take it from a concept in your head to a company?
Yeah, that's how I work. I just put my hair on fire and figure it out.
Yeah.
That's truly how I work. It drives my wife crazy. It drives my partner's crazy, but that's why I put, Ben Thompson, who's in, what group, We Are the They Group 1. Yeah. He's such a great, organizer and day-to-day operations guy, which I am absolutely not that person. Yeah. And so, I knew that I needed somebody like that to make sure that everything the day-to-day ran great and building a great team. And so we work really well together in that aspect. And so I just started with my hair on fire, made it work, got it to a certain number, you know, a certain level with just me. And then I was like, man, I gotta do something to make sure that it can scale and grow and be big. And so then I, you know, went and asked Ben, and he was ready to make a shift in his life away from he was working for a big corporate food distributor.
Oh, cool.
So he kind of knows that background as well. So it kind of gives us a really big picture of what happens in the retail world and what happens in the e-com world.
Yeah. How long has he been with you?
He's been there for 3 years.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him when we were in Iceland.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Iceland. That's right.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Is he married?
Yeah, he's married. They're just about to have their second kid here, like in 10 days.
Nice.
He's ready to pop.
Nice. Crap, dude. We're gonna be in. Well, you might make it before we go to Brazil.
No, I think
you'll have it during that.
I think it's the 10th or 11th that they're due.
Oh, okay.
So unless they unless they have it early, which is possible.
We leave the 11th.
The 11th.
Yeah.
So unless they have it early, which is possible, in the second kid, it's probably going to be like right when we leave.
Yeah. Who knows?
So,
you'll see him when you get back.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, there's not a whole lot that a little newborn, you're just like, oh, you hold it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the mom's usually pretty protective anyway. So it's just like, you hold it for 10 minutes and like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. You almost come back at the perfect time.
Yeah.
10 days later.
When it's like they're kind of settled down. Yeah. They're not in the hospital anymore. And yeah, absolutely.
So is he your only partner?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So do you like having a partner?
Yeah. I mean, in certain things, yes. In certain things, no, right? Like partners are like marriages. They got like both sides have to do things really well to be, cohesive with each other and do things so people aren't frustrated at each other. Yeah. And we do that really well. And it's because we have two totally different skill sets. And we knew that going into it. Like when I asked him, he knew exactly what I needed help with, and I knew what he was good at. He knows what I'm good at, and it works really, really well. Yeah. But in a lot of instances, like people would say, no, run from partners. And I would agree in a lot of instances, but certain places it does work well.
It's interesting when you say that, because it's good to have partners. It's good to have partners who increase your bandwidth. Yep. Right. Because you only have so much bandwidth, especially the more your net worth grows, because then you start, and the older you get, because then you want to spend more time doing the stuff that you want to do, and with your kids, and constantly building businesses. Yep. And so I agree with you. I've seen partnerships just absolutely explode. Yeah. And destroy everything. Yeah. And they both look at each other and hate each other. And it's like, really, it mostly boils down to, you guys never had an agreement in writing. Exactly. So you're dumb. Yep. So it's like, but yeah, man, but then there's sometimes where it's like, I want to be a minority partner. I want to own 40% of this, and I want you to go do what you do, and here's your money. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's so many different levels of partnership, like what you just said. I mean, being a majority partner or being a minority partner, depending on, hey, I'm just going to give you some money. I love your idea. I love your work ethic, and I'm not going to ever bug you. Just go make it work. Yeah. That there's lots of pieces of that. I mean, Ben and I's partnership's totally different because it's a day-to-day working partnership, and we're like building something. But to your point, like anything in life is delegation, right? To grow and create bandwidth. I mean, even with, if you didn't have a partner, you have to hire those people to grow your bandwidth. So even though you didn't give them partnership, you're paying them to like expand and grow bandwidth. So it's just, but yes, people need to be careful. I mean, you said it right on the head. Like, have it in writing. Everyone knows what they're doing. So it doesn't ever get like, oh, he was supposed to do this, I was supposed to do this, and he makes too much money for, it just clears the air and communicate. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. People just don't communicate, and they let it explode and blow their head up because they're all frustrated. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, one thing we've been talking about is investing outside of your normal business. Mm-hmm. What's your kind of philosophy on that? I don't know. I want to get better at it. I know that. Yeah. Because I've done it, and I know it's a good avenue to go make wealth, what you're not good at, basically. But like, it's, you hear Jimmy say it all the time. He's like, man, if I would have I've done really well, but if I'd have just kept my money
and done what I know is good, I probably would have made more money. So it's like a fine line, right? But yes, I think it's something that I want to do, and it's necessary for me because you only have so much bandwidth, but you have to align yourself with the right people and the right deals, because it doesn't matter how good the deal is. If you're doing the right deal but with the wrong people, it's going to go bad.
For sure.
You have to do the right deal with the right people. And the people are way more important than the deal, because usually the people, even if the deal's not great, they find a way to make it work, or they'll get out of it and get into another one and make that one work.
Yeah.
So the people who you're doing the deals with is everything.
Yeah.
100%. So I definitely want to get better, because I've done some stuff that I thought was good, but I think that maybe I did it because I was trying to get into those circles a little bit, and then realized like, you're still not in that circle because you're not communicating with them daily. Like, you just gave them money to go do something and you like that concept. But I think you have to like be friends. You have to know that person. You have to, intimately like know what they do on a daily basis, know their family and stuff like that. I mean, you don't have to, but I think it works much better investing outside of what you're normally doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've done the same thing you have, investing some money to get in those circles and kind of see what it's like, and pay to play a little bit.
Yeah.
But to me, I just have a different philosophy from a lot of people, and a lot of it is because you need to have money to have this philosophy. But I think you should run your business, put your energy into your business, and the money you make from that, you should put it in private equity.
Yeah.
And the reason why, so instead of just saying random things, is because private equity groups are an organized, generally, I should say this, honestly, 99% of the time.
Yeah.
They're organized, they're honest, they're transparent, they have deal flow, they're professionals, they're doing what they do.
Yeah.
They're getting into deals that people on the street are not going to see. You're not getting into equity. Generally, you're not getting feed to death.
Yeah.
If you're getting the right ones. And you can go park $1 million or $2 million with those guys, and they will go 3, 4, 5 exit.
Sure.
And then you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And generally, but you're getting a quarterly report that says what's up, and you can see where your money's at. You put it as a line on your personal financial statement, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we talked about that, right? I mean, and I think that's key. I mean, if you're giving money to somebody, they should be able to spit you out some sort of an income statement within 24 hours, 48 hours, right? Or be giving you quarterlies. If you're not getting that, you might not be in the right thing yet. You might need to be a little bit worried, like what's going on. Because again, like somebody that's organized and managed and actually running a good private equity, they have accountants, they have stuff, like they're running it by the books. That's why they have good deal flow.
Right. And it's also a cover your ass thing for them.
Absolutely. The liability on that side's giant if you don't do it right.
And it's also, it's just so foolish to do it too, because once you make people good money, they turn around and just tell every friend they have that's in the same circles they're in.
Yep.
That is how you grow a fund.
Yeah.
That is how you grow a private equity, fund. And it all boils down to the boring, easy crap. Yes, I get a report with an opinion.
Yeah.
I get the financials every quarter, and I get an opinion of the manager saying, this is what we did. This is what we did well. This is what we didn't do well. These are the adjustments we're going to make. This is the path we're sticking to. Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just boggles. Dude, every time I hear deals, even when Jimmy was talking about his deals, right? I mean, one thing I tell everybody, I even said it on our call, if you are not $20 million liquid, do not put $1 into a startup.
Yeah. Startups are dangerous.
They fail all the time.
95% of the time.
Yeah. And what people don't get with that, right, is and this is how a startup normally goes, right? Your neighbor, your buddy's neighbor, right? Works at a big company, making a lot of money, right? And meaning the company makes a lot of money. Yeah. He's an expert. He's breaking off. He's going to do something. That is a terrible, terrible plan. So what you're basically saying is this guy's breaking off. He's going to get cut off from that company. Right?
So he has no income. So he needs your money to support his family.
Exactly. And then he's going to go compete against a behemoth. Yeah. With little to zero freaking assets, or it's like bananas. And he's not adding value to the market. Yeah. He's just becoming a competitor. Yep. But people see that, like, that is like, they think that that's like hedging their bet because they've taken someone inside the industry and pulled them out.
Yeah.
What they need to do is like, this is what a startup would be interesting. I've gone to my bosses 400 times because I see a massive hole in the market. I gave them a solution. They won't do it. Blah, 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 blah. This is a solution for the hole in the market. This is how this would compete, right? And it's like, okay, well, that makes sense. Not like, I don't know. Yeah. We're going to start another restaurant.
Yeah. But then that person, like, they've got potentially IP, right?
Right.
Like if they're building something to create that fix, that hole, they have IP, which is, you know, IP is one of the best ways to make residual income and make a business work. Like if a business has something somebody else doesn't have, it's what makes it money. And it's what makes it valuable because it's actually creating value outside of monetary money.
Right. Right.
So, I mean,
exactly.
That's the key to it all, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, yes.
But even if they have that plan, you're still investing in one bro.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you got to look at him and go, okay, here's another thing, right? If you're in a startup and the raise is less than $500,000, you're going to lose your money.
Yeah.
You're just going to lose your money.
Yeah.
That's not enough money to put an organization together to go attack a market. It's just not. In fact, I mean, to throw this number out there, I mean, off the top of my head, I would be real skittish on anything under $2 million.
To start something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to, I mean, you know what it's like starting a business. Yep. You got to have staff. You got to have capital sitting there for, you know, the shit that just blows up every now and again. You got to hire people. You got to hire salesmen. You got to pay those salesmen commission, and you can't pay them in a year.
Yeah.
And you can't give everyone equity either.
Yeah.
That's another problem. That's the dirty little brother to not raising enough capital.
Yep.
Is you're going to give equity
yourself
to everybody.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, this is fun. You have 17 owners.
Yeah.
You know, one guy's got the majority and everyone else is like 2%.
Yeah.
Well, after those guys burn out working in this thing, right? They just go, well, F it.
Yeah. That's what happens.
I own 2% of nothing.
Yeah, that's what happened. And there's no exit, right? Like, so that none of them are paying distributions. And so like the only way they're going to make their money on their 2% is to have somebody buy them and have them have an exit, but there is no exit plan.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's what I think. That's why I mean, I want to get better at that too, because, you know, I think a certain allocation to what you're saying is that if you had $2 million, right, allocate X amount of money to keep you and just double down on everything you do.
Yeah.
And just because that's where you're going to make your most cash.
Yeah.
Right. But then cut off a little bit of money and go put it in the private equity fund or whatever you want to do, because that private equity fund does medium businesses or whatever you like you love to do that side of things. And then if you love real estate or something, maybe take another little chunk and somehow do something with real estate.
Well, there's even private equity funds that are real estate only.
Of course they are. You know? Yeah. I mean, I just
think it's like you're hiring a team.
Yeah.
You know,
that knows what they're doing.
Yeah. You've worked your ass off for most of the time, 10 to 15 years, right? Yeah. Sometimes 30 years, depends how long it took you to build your business, right? Yep. Why are you taking your money and just gambling it?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know why. Because everyone gets enamored with 100% returns. Like if you're getting promised 100% return, you should run as well.
Yeah, you're getting killed.
It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it happens on certain things, but I promise when it happened, they weren't promised that.
Yeah.
They did it on much, you know, something totally different, and the company just cranked and they had huge returns.
Yeah.
But that's not what they got pitched.
Yep.
And if it is, it's usually fraud.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%.
So usually one of those Ponzi schemes that you and Ryan were talking about.
Oh, I know. You know what's funny, man? I've been in a couple guys recently, and I have a particular set of skills that make me a nightmare for people. You know? I do, though. I can value a business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that cannot do that.
Yeah.
And so, and I got that from doing hard money lending for years and years and years. I saw so many stupid deals and I had to like vet them, and I stumbled through them. And, you know, I think I was telling you, I can't remember it's between $600 million and $1 billion worth of deals that I vetted over a couple of years. Right. And most of that was absolute garbage. Yeah. But it gives me the ability to look at something and go, no.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Like there's some that you're like, I got to look into a little deeper, but instantly you were able to throw most of them out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've created some technology.
Yeah.
Did you patent it? No. Okay, bye. Like I'm out on that. Like just automatically, right? And good. 1 in 1,000 of these things will make someone $1 billion.
Yeah.
Good. It won't be me because I won't invest in this.
Yep.
You know, it also takes like 25 more years to
exactly.
really have that hit.
Yeah.
But But yeah, so we're in this group and we're talking, right? And they're just like, "Oh, did you get involved in this?" And I was like, "No, did you?" "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." Then I'm with all these guys that have made good money, right? But it's like, you've freaking blown 30% of your net worth.
Yeah.
But blowing 30% of your, let's just say you're worth $10 million to make the numbers easy, right? And you're 40, right? Yeah. And then you take $3 million of that and just burn it in a bunch of startups and my cousin's brother's real estate fund when interest rates are skyrocketing. Yeah. And, you go through all this stuff and you're like, dude, that's 3 million bones.
Yeah.
If you would have just thrown those in mutual funds for the next 25 years, you would have been captured an 8% return. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just burning it to the ground. And then and people, they got to justify it, right? So they'll turn around and go, well, I just had to learn my lessons.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an expensive lesson.
Yeah. And I mean, not that I've blown $3 million, but I mean, all these little deals that you do, on this, like these private companies or these, whether they're, you're getting Class B shares or whatever it is. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I've talked to you about a lot of this stuff because I'm like, man, I got to be better at that. Like this is, and you've gotten into some of the deals that I'm in as well. And both of us are like, and we both kind of got a little bit, not duped, I wouldn't say, but like, it's not going as well as we were pitched it was going to go. So I think though, but that's where I definitely want to get better is exactly that. I probably had that same problem that those guys that made $10 million and, 3 million of it, they just kind of blew it because they wanted to do something. Yeah. They just didn't know the right place to park it.
Yeah. Which is a travesty.
Yeah.
People to. Yeah. The problem is, a lot of guys will build their business and they got their family and their kids and they don't really have mentors or big time influencers. I mean, I've joked about this for years. The easiest way to raise money in Utah is to go get a Lamborghini. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
Black it out with a wrap and go ask people for money. And they look at your car and go, "Oh, he can afford a Lamborghini." And it's like, "Oh, this is not the standard.
Yeah.
You're driving me crazy. That dude could be paying $2,000 a month on a lease on that damn thing. And you're going to give him $75,000 of yours. Why is a dude in a Lamborghini asking you for $75,000?
Yeah.
That's the question to ask.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because people get enamored with what they want.
Absolutely enamored.
Yeah.
Another thing too, I mean, this will give me a little heat out there in the world, but when people get a King Air, which is a private plane, not a jet, but then they post it all the time, and it's just like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm on my jet, flying, blah, blah." And people are going crazy, and it's like, do you guys know actually how much one of these things costs?
Yeah,
it's not that much.
Yeah.
It's like you're making it seem like this dude has $100 million, and he's
it's not a Learjet.
Yeah, he's in a partnership with 17 other dudes, and he just every time he's in this thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Once you're introduced to some very wealthy people, I know 6 or 7 billionaires,
and they're quiet. Are they quiet? Most of that you wouldn't even know they're billionaires because they drive F-150s and
exactly,
and they're quiet.
The only one that, and he's actually quiet too, but it's Pat Kilkenny, who's Phil Knight's best friend, and he was the AD of Oregon for like 15 years because Phil asked him to be, but now he's quiet.
Yeah.
But when he was at the Oregon AD, I mean, that was his job to kind of be a little bit loud, But like, he's hilarious, man. Like, we go down and meet him, and I'm like talking with him at his house, and I'm like, "What do you do for investing?" And he's just, he's telling me all this stuff. He's like, "Well, I'm in this investing group, and we have to do this and that." And then I'm like, "Who's in that group, dude?" The guys he named, I was just like, okay. Like, not every one of them was a billionaire.
Yeah, of course they are.
And they meet like twice a year and drink wine, and they just all fly their private jets in. And but to your point, no, they're very, very quiet.
Yeah,
the guys I know in Texas, like their trucks are beat to shit, but they'll buy a truck and beat the shit out of it. Yeah, it might only be 2 years old, and then they're just like, they just go to the dealership and like, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
because they don't care. They don't have time. And they all live on ranches. Yeah, it's Texas, right? So they're just not going to get their freaking panties in a bunch if they, swipe a tree or something when they're driving their horse, trailer or something.
Or have a cattle run into it.
or have cattle hit it. Yeah. And I think a lot of that too is it's because a lot of the guys I know, they made their money.
Yeah, they're having fun.
Yeah, and but like, at some level, man, the more money you make, it doesn't really change all that much.
You always who you are. Money makes you more of what you are.
Yeah. And if you're wise, it just turns into a tool.
Absolutely.
Money is just a tool. Yeah. You don't really throw it around all that much when you have a bunch of it,
No, you just use it to get what you want, what makes, you like to do, what provides you fun, what provides you enjoyment and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't have money, you can't buy the ranch that you're quiet on, that you have cattle running into your truck that you don't care about, right? Like you still have to have the money. It's just a tool. Yeah. To get that stuff because that's what they wanted. They wanted serenity. They wanted to be on 2,000 acres and be able to act like they're farmers and ranchers at the end of the day.
Right. Well, and a lot of them do it for the agricultural credit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tax thing.
Yeah, of course.
That's another thing. Like people like, oh, you drive a truck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it's a thick 6,000 pound vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll always drive a truck.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to get a sedan because it doesn't give me any tax benefit.
Exactly.
People are like, oh. Plus, the good thing is trucks are so damn nice nowadays. It's just as nice as a sedan anyways.
You're driving with heated and air-conditioned seats. You're like, when did a truck ever have that?
Mine's got massage seats, dude.
Exactly.
I'm going to roll down here today, get my back massage. Acting like a real douche.
Yeah, it's got this back massager, but my back's all fucked up. I can't even do it.
I'm going to fall out of it like, hey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, trucks are amazing what they do anymore.
Oh, they're amazing. They're stupid expensive.
But that's why they cost $90,000 for a King Ranch anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they do all those crazy things.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you.
Yeah. But that's just life, right? It's just, you do have to pay some, what do they call that? Knowledge tax or.
Of course.
Whatever it's called, yeah.
So, everyone does. Anyone that hasn't's lying to you.
Yeah. Oh, and I have for sure. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to think I've not blown some money on some investments for sure.
Yeah, we all make dumb decisions.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, like you said, some actually wealthy guys that some really intelligent guys have been caught into some of those stupid Ponzi schemes. Right? You're like, whoa, how did we all get duped on this deal? Yeah. Jimmy said it best. He's like, they are the hype guy. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the reason you do it is because you got all excited, but it's because every one of those deals has a hype guy.
Yeah.
All you did is you just got hyped.
Yeah.
So you gotta really do like what you just said. You got to be able to look under the hood and look at the nuts and bolts like in an instant and say like, okay, like, do I look at this one deeper or is it just out?
Yeah. And I'll give everyone a little. This will give me some more hate too. The hype guy is the guy that's syndicating the deal.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the hype guy.
Yeah.
Every time.
Absolutely.
And
the one making all the money, whether it works or doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's.
They're the ones that can't tell you about the deal. They got to go back.
Yep.
Right. Oh, let me run that past the guys. Blah blah blah. But I am taking 10% off the top of this. Oh, sweet.
Because my black Lambo needs to be wrapped.
Yeah. Wrap it in silver this time. I want to see that thing shine, baby.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, it cracked me up.
But I know. I think you're right with. I mean, especially if people don't know what they want to do, getting lined into a good private equity that like kind of aligns with their values of what they were thinking is for sure the key, especially if you don't have time to.
Well, and you
can
anything. Find 10 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's some great ones here in Utah.
Yeah.
There's great ones in Connecticut, whatever you want to do. Sure. Call them up. Hey, I've got a couple mil or whatever, right? I mean, not everyone has a couple million, but it's like, hey, I'm interested in your stuff. Give me some information, and then you just pick the one you like. It's easy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is Mark pitching his private equity.
Yeah, I mean, I said the name of it. Yeah. No, I mean that's my fund's funny because I fund other funds.
Yeah.
And so not all the time.
You just got deal flow.
Yeah.
You have deal flow, so you basically just put it in stuff that you feel is good deal flow. That's
Yeah. So if you were to pick my firm, you would be picking me.
Yeah.
It would be, or one of my partners, but basically it's me, right? Because it's like, no, I think he'll put this in something that's good, And the good thing about my fund is then they're all transparent though. That's the thing that's funny.
They have to be.
If they're not transparent, you're getting screwed. So I say like, oh, we're very transparent. And it's like, it's kind of like saying, yeah, I'm selling you water. It's really wet.
Yeah.
Like it just is what it is. They're all transparent.
Yeah. Otherwise they're not set up correctly and they're not.
They're hiding something, which is terrible. It's terrible business strategy, right? Because you're not going to go raise $10 million, slam it in some super high, risky deal. Pray to God that it returns money.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm going to diversify this a tad. We're going to target this return. When we get that return or higher or lower, then we pay it out, then we ask for more money. And the next fund we raise is 50 million. And the next fund we raise is 100. And it takes 10 years to get to that level.
Do you, when you invest, like, is it basically your money in this fund too, that you're investing this into those same pieces, right?
I try to put my own money in every deal that we do.
Yeah, I mean that's key, right? Like you have to. Not every deal works, but you're putting your skin. So you're gonna make, when people come to you and they like Mark McCormack, they're like, okay, I'm putting in here for Mark.
Yeah.
Right, because I know who he is as that person, and he's gonna put it in the right places.
Yeah.
So whether this one works or not, like collectively, it's going to work.
Yeah, yeah. Or at least I just think he's competent and trustworthy enough that he's a person that is going to do exactly with my money what he's going to do with his.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's going on.
And he's done well. Yeah. And so therefore,
the way we raise too is I do it in series, right? So I have like 3 projects that we're doing at a time.
Yeah.
And I'll go, hey, this is the one we're working on. Do you like this?
Yeah.
And the potential investor, sometimes they're already in another deal.
Yeah.
Will be like, yeah, that one's interesting. Don't like that one. Tell me more about that one. And you just kind of talk about it, right? Yeah, we're going to go get in this meat packing plant, or we're going to go, do a spirit brand or whatever, right? This is what we think. This is the expertise level that we have. This is what we think we can do with this. This is kind of our advantages that we have in the market or with our team or the team that we're going to invest in. And
so are you kind of bringing in some funds through your private equity to do some of this spirit stuff too? It's like, I know because you have a separate spirit company as a whole, but like, are you going to get into that vertical?
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would do that depending on what the deal is.
Yeah.
And so when I say that, I do not currently have a spirit company that I would do that with.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that couldn't change tomorrow.
Sure.
Like let's just say, pick a brand that's not, let's just say Patron, right? Because Patron, everyone knows it.
Yeah.
If Patron came up for sale, right, on a private sale, and even if we were buying 10% of it and we felt that Patron's going to explode because it's never been brought to like Asia or something like that, and they're about to go into that, but the guy died and his wife wants to sell it, whatever, right? Everything's going to make sense.
Yeah.
But that's a deal you would need $200 million to buy 10%, or not even that. You need freaking $700 million to buy 10%.
Yeah.
That would be something, because it'd be so large, I'd raise it through the fund, but then I'd have to push it back inside that company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think, dude, we're actually past the time.
Dakota's shutting us off.
Yeah, he's here, baby. My sound engineer's entered the building. So to end it today, though, like I said, we need your best 2 minutes of advice. Just look Dakota right in the eyes and give it to him.
Give him the twinkle. Yeah, I mean, for my best advice is to like be genuine always, right? Provide value to people and get around like-minded people and follow your heart always. Like if it doesn't feel right, get out of it. I mean, I've been in so many situations where I was like, got enamored with something and it didn't feel right and still chase something. So just being genuine to yourself and just work hard. Work hard, follow your heart, and you're going to make it.
I love it.
It's my best advice.
Thank you very much, Josh.
No, thanks for the invite, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Podcast 1 down.
Yes, baby. Yeah. One of many, dude. I can't even imagine how many you're going to do.
I know, man. I'm going to be pimped out now because I'm on your podcast. I'm going to have everyone asking me about now.
Yeah, I can't wait to get your second one. Anyway, thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.